The ocean was roaring like it carried a secret the world was not ready to hear. And standing before it was a woman who had everything except the one thing she wanted most: for her daughter to finally be seen, understood, and safe. The CEO's shoes were sinking slowly into the wet sand as the cold wind whipped against her tailored coat, and beside her stood her child, silent, fragile, clutching a small seashell as if it were the only proof that life could still be gentle. What happened next would break her heart open and heal it in a way she never imagined. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, take a moment right now to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this change people. The woman's name was Eleanor Whitmore, founder and CEO of a global technology firm whose success was legendary and whose personal life was carefully hidden from every headline. She had built her empire with sleepless nights, relentless discipline, and a will so strong it frightened even her board of directors. But no boardroom victory could fix the ache she carried inside. Her 10-year-old daughter, Lily, had not spoken a single word since the night Eleanor's husband died in a highway accident. 3 years earlier, doctors had labeled it selective mutism mixed with trauma. Therapists tried every method. Schools failed to adapt. Eleanor exhausted her fortune on the best specialists in the country. Nothing broke the silence. Lily lived in a quiet world of drawing and observation, her large eyes always searching, always measuring whether the world was safe. She communicated with gestures, small nods, tiny smiles. Eleanor learned to read them like a secret language, but the world was not as patient. Teachers complained. Other children grew distant. Even well-meaning adults whispered. The beach trip was supposed to be Eleanor's last attempt before surrendering to despair. Her calendar was overflowing with mergers and investor calls, but she canceled everything. The ocean had once been Lily's favorite place before the accident. Maybe memory could reach where medicine could not. They arrived early that morning before the crowds. Gray clouds hovered low, and gulls cried overhead. Lily stepped onto the sand and inhaled deeply, her shoulders relaxing for the first time in weeks. Eleanor watched her daughter walk slowly toward the shoreline, bending down to pick up shells and smooth stones, arranging them carefully as if building a private universe only she could understand. That was when Eleanor noticed the man. He was a single father named Jonah Carter, though she did not know his name yet. He stood a short distance away with his 6-year-old son, Max, helping the boy fly a battered red kite. Jonah's clothes were simple, his hair wind-tousled, his posture tired but gentle. Life had clearly carved him down, yet something in his eyes glowed with warmth and patience. Max ran toward Lily without hesitation, laughing as his kite dipped. Lily froze, startled. Eleanor moved forward instinctively, but Jonah reached Max first, gently pulling him back and pointing at Lily with a calming motion, reminding his son to slow down. Then something happened that Eleanor will remember for the rest of her life. Jonah knelt beside Lily at the edge of her shell collection and lifted his hands. He began to speak, not with his voice, but with his hands. His fingers moved with confidence and care, forming clear, gentle signs. Lily's eyes widened. Her breath caught. She dropped the shell. For the first time in 3 years, someone had entered her world on her terms. Lily hesitated, then slowly raised her own hands. They trembled as she signed back. Eleanor stood, frozen. She did not even realize she was crying. Jonah and Lily continued, hands moving, expressions shifting, laughter flickering across Lily's face like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Eleanor had learned only the most basic signs to communicate with her daughter, but what Jonah was using was advanced, fluid, full language. He wasn't guessing, he wasn't performing. He was speaking to her. Eleanor finally gathered herself and approached, her voice thick with emotion as she thanked him, though he barely seemed surprised by her reaction. He explained in a quiet, humble way that his younger sister had been deaf, and he had learned sign language as a child. She had passed away years ago, but he never stopped using it. It was part of who he was. From that moment, the beach became something sacred. Day after day, Eleanor brought Lily back. Jonah was always there with Max, building sandcastles, flying kites, collecting sea glass. Lily bloomed. She laughed. She ran. She signed entire stories with Jonah, her hands alive with expression. Eleanor watched her daughter return to life, piece by piece. But life outside the beach remained cruel. Lily's school scheduled a meeting, suggesting special placement and long-term separation from other students. Eleanor, exhausted from the constant fight, felt herself sinking again. That evening, she went to the beach alone and found Jonah sitting on a driftwood log staring at the ocean, his face heavy with worry. He had received a letter that morning. The small apartment he rented with Max was being sold. They had 60 days to leave. His construction work had slowed, and savings were nearly gone. He had no family left, nowhere to go. Eleanor listened, stunned by the contrast between her world of endless wealth and his of constant survival. She wanted to offer help, but she had learned long ago that pity could wound more deeply than poverty. Instead, she did what she always did. She looked for solutions. Over the following weeks, their lives became intertwined. Jonah helped Lily with her schooling, teaching her through sign language when teachers failed. Eleanor arranged for Lily to be transferred to a more inclusive school, and Jonah was invited to work as an aide specializing in communication support. His natural ability and calm presence transformed classrooms. Children who had once isolated Lily now learned her language and included her in their games. Eleanor's company soon launched an accessibility program inspired entirely by her daughter's experience. Deaf and nonverbal employees were hired. Sign language training became mandatory for all management. The initiative made headlines, but Eleanor kept Jonah's struggle private. One evening, while reviewing contracts in her office overlooking the city, she realized something that frightened her. She was no longer terrified of losing control. Jonah and Max had brought something back into her life that success never could: belonging. When Jonah's eviction deadline arrived, Eleanor invited him to dinner at her home. Lily set the table herself, placing Max's favorite blue cup carefully at his seat. After the meal, Eleanor handed Jonah a folder containing legal documents: a long-term housing contract for a company-owned property, stable employment with benefits, and an offer to help him complete his teaching certification. Jonah's hands shook as he read. He tried to refuse. Pride and pain collided inside him, but Lily stepped forward and signed a simple message: "Stay." Jonah broke down. Months passed. The seasons changed. Lily spoke her first word during a school presentation, not because she was forced, but because she felt safe. The word was home. Eleanor wept openly. Jonah eventually completed his certification and became Director of Special Communications at Eleanor's company's foundation. Max flourished in his new school. The four of them began spending holidays together. The walls between CEO and struggling father faded, and then, on the same beach where it all began, with waves whispering the same ancient song, Lily stood between Eleanor and Jonah and signed a sentence that would reshape their future: family. Before this story ends, if it touched something inside you, if it reminded you that kindness still matters, that connection can heal the deepest wounds. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs hope today. And one more special request before we close. Leave a comment telling us where you are watching from and what part of this story moved you the most. Eleanor eventually stepped down as CEO to focus on the foundation she built in Lily's name. Jonah became her partner in both mission and life. They never rushed their love, but it grew steady and certain, rooted in respect, shared pain, and the miracle of a child who taught two broken adults how to believe again. Years later, Lily would tell this story in sign language to children like herself, explaining how the world can change when even one person chooses to listen, not with ears, but with heart. And the ocean kept its secret no longer.